My name is Mark Guevarra. I'm a second year doctoral student in the Department of Theology and Ethics at the GTU. I'm very interested in synodality, a method presented by Pope Francis, recovered in the Christian tradition. Going to school at the Graduate Theological Union was a choice that I made because I wanted to be in a place where all voices are heard and all voices are privileged. And so to be able to explore my tradition from the perspective and a community of other traditions really enriches my own. And I think this is how we are to be in this world today, a world that is so diverse, that has different values, experiences, and history, that the way to peace and bridge building is precisely dialogue. It is something within myself to draw myself outside of myself, to hear and encounter the other, to engage peacefully, to listen before I speak, and then to walk together. Synodality comes from the Greek words for walking together. And so the GTU is this beautiful place where such diverse backgrounds of people can walk together. So if we can do it here amongst a community of diverse religions and other Christian traditions, then hopefully we can do it in our world so longing for unity, for harmony, for peace, for a way forward in amidst this brokenness amongst us. In addition to being a student, I'm a fellow with an organization called to Action. It was founded in the 1970s to build a more inclusive Catholic Church. And this cohort that I'm a part of, this fellowship, is called Regeneration. It's igniting young adults to come forward in this wonderful task of inclusion. And as Regeneration, there's about 30 of us across the country, and we are put into small groups with mentors who've been in social justice work for decades. And we were given the task of doing a project together to build inclusion. It could be an educational project, it could be direct action, it could be some form of lobbying. And what we've decided to do is an Advent calendar. And so in the Christian tradition, Advent is the season before Christmas. And in that season, we prepare for the coming of Jesus in the celebration of Christmas. And so in this Advent calendar, we have invited a variety of voices, pastors, educators, scholars, artists, to reflect on the scripture reading for the day, sharing their insight from their perspective, sharing their work in social justice and education and advocacy, so that the general public can hear, from their perspective, to hear their richness, that they're able to bring forward from the scripture reading of the day. Mainly, my research interest, synodality, is a calling forth of voices. It is a maturing of faith that says, hey, what truth do you bring that I can listen to that might transform me? And so during the COVID crisis, I'm thinking to myself, we're kind of in it for ourselves, with this mad rush to buy toilet paper. It became very survival of the fittest, that we kind of lost sense of the common good. We lost sense of our connection to one another. And that was problematic for me. And so I thought, in a project, what can we do to build community, to restore a sense of siblinghood, is to hear voices, to draw ourselves out of ourselves by listening to the other. And so we thought, hey, why not, if we're going to have this season of Advent every day, we do a reflection, why not hear from those different voices so that we can rebuild a sense of unity, of communion, of of togetherness. And, it might be just a superficial reaction and be like, oh, that's nice. But it also might cause within us a sense of conversion to say, there is something there that I do have a responsibility to care for the other. So it is a hopeful project, I think, because it calls us out of ourselves and it calls us to change the world. We've managed to collect over 20 different voices, and we've tried to privilege women, queer voices, indigenous folks, people of color. We have folks who are scholars, educators, pastors, artists, dancers, activists, and visionaries. We're several days into it already, it's a couple weeks into it already, and you can go to our website, Advent of Liberation from Call to Action, and you could already access all of the different reflections. Some have posted music and videos, some have been providing very challenging messages to us. I'm very excited to feature some GTU community members, including Professor Bernie Schlager from PSR, as well as some alumni from the GTU and current students, including Ish Ruiz, a friend of mine, who is reflecting from a queer Latino perspective. So it's very exciting that we have such a unique and broad selection of voices from folks who might see themselves as marginalized, from folks who don't, from folks who see themselves as well within the tradition. So it's been great to be able to privilege those voices, especially in our times when, it is people of color, folks from less mainstream backgrounds that are suffering the most from this pandemic. I think the overwhelming hope that I want people to take away from this project is hope itself. Is that amidst this great crisis, this unprecedented challenge that we've all confronted, amidst the grief and the anxieties, the frustrations, that even amongst these marginalized, these fringe, these voices, that there is still hope to be found, that in their work, their courage, their service, their education, that we can find goodness incarnated, which is the message of Christmas, that light enters into a dark world. And hopefully in the lives and the stories, the work, the ministry, the creativity of these individuals, that becomes affirmed in all of us, that there is hope, that there is light, that there is joy and peace in this dark time.